Aloha! We flew from Lisbon and arrived here in Nice on the French Riviera, and we're really excited to experience the ritz and glitz of the region and also the charm of the nearby villages and sample some of the local cuisine along the way. So we hope you'll tag along with us as we explore the beautiful Côte d'Azur.
We were really blessed to be invited to a very special 3-day event in Nice and Cap Ferrat on the Côte d'Azur. We flew from Lisbon to Nice earlier in the week so we could explore and experience what the area had to offer. This was our first time arriving at Nice Côte d'Azur Airport, but it wasn't too difficult to navigate getting on the transfer bus at the bottom of the airplane steps and following the terminal signs out to the Pro Parking, which is the pickup place for rideshare companies. Since each of us brought 2 suitcases and a backpack for this special trip, we opted to take an Uber rather than the Ligne d'Azur tram to the Old Town of Nice, where we rented an Airbnb. In addition to enjoying breakfast and an occasional glass of wine while taking in the views from our balcony, here are the things we found most enjoyable exploring the area.
Number 1. Visiting hilltop villages. We really enjoyed visiting hilltop villages in the Côte d'Azur, beginning with Gourdon. Our Get Your Guide stopped at Belvedere Gourdon, where we had a magnificent view of the village of Gourdon on the opposite hilltop before continuing the drive to the village. What we liked most was the uncrowded small village atmosphere, exploring the picturesque narrow walkways and small charming shops. The views from the village itself were amazing and extended all the way to the sea. We stopped and had a bite to eat at a small sandwich shop before continuing on to the next village. Similarly, we enjoyed Tourrettes sur Loup, taking in the view of this medieval village from afar before continuing on to the village. It too had that small village charm, and we enjoyed walking around the uncrowded village, exploring little shops along the way. Before leaving the village, we stopped inside Violette de Tourrettes and purchased a kitchen towel embroidered with a violet, symbolic of the annual Violet Festival that the village holds in March. The atmosphere of locals playing a game of pétanque gave Paul de Vence a friendly neighborhood feel as we approached the entrance of the medieval village. But once inside the walls of the village, we were shocked with how overrun the village was with visitors, especially having just visited the quiet small villages of Gourdon and Tourrettes sur Loup. It left us with a disappointed feeling. But despite the crowds, we were able to enjoy the Place de la Grande Fontaine and the flower frame that was a fun photo op. We learned that the fountain originally was installed in 1615 and had undergone many renovations through the years. The majority of shops in the village are art shops, and since we had plans to visit famous art museums in the region, we made a beeline to the cemetery. Along the way, we enjoyed an interesting sculpture of a woman suspended between the buildings. We took some time to enjoy the views from the village wall before entering the cemetery and paying our respects to the great Jewish artist Marc Chagall, who is buried there. The village of Ez was busy but had a nice mix of shops and cafes that gave a certain charm to the atmosphere. Upon arrival, we made our way to the top to explore Le Jardin Exotique. This is a wonderful botanical garden with a large variety of succulents and other plants of the Mediterranean, with sculptures scattered throughout the gardens enhancing the composition. We thoroughly enjoyed wandering around the gardens and taking in the breathtaking views looking out to Cap Ferrat and also to Monaco. Number 2. Art Appreciation. Le Musée National de Marc Chagall is one of 3 museums dedicated to artists' work in the region. The day we visited was actually a serendipitous result of the Nice train station becoming completely stalled the morning we planned to take the train out to Antibes. After regrouping, we decided to go stand in line to buy tickets during the lunch hour. Once the ticket office reopened after lunch, we weren't too far back in line and purchased tickets fairly quickly. The large format biblical message exhibit was amazing. Just as we were surprised how small the Mona Lisa was at the Louvre, it was awesome to behold how big Chagall's works are. It was our favorite part of the museum and spent some time using the QR codes to learn more about each of his paintings. In addition to his paintings, his work is displayed as a mosaic installed on the wall of an outdoor mosaic above a water feature, and the stained glass windows installed in the concert hall. On a different day, the trains were working smoothly, so we took the TER regional train from Nice to Antibes so we could see some of Picasso's work at the Musée Picasso. It was about a 30-minute walk from the train station to the museum, but we were taking pictures along the way. It was quite picturesque to see the yachts in Port Vauban with Le Fort Carré in the foreground and the snow-capped Alps in the distance. On the way to Musée Picasso, we passed through Le Marché Provençal, a wonderful marketplace selling fresh produce and cheese, sausage and flowers. There's even a public WC that's actually free. We arrived about 50 minutes before the museum opened, and unlike the Musée Marc Chagall, there was no one in line yet. So we took turns admiring the immediate surrounds as the museum, the former Grimaldi Castle, is situated along the promenade and seawall that looks out towards Port Vauban and Plage La Gravette in one direction, and towards Cap Antibes and Plage de la Salice in the other direction. There is a beautiful cactus garden attached to the museum and also a nice sitting area where we ended up picnicking for lunch. Upon entering, we paid a reduced rate of €8 from the normal 12 because of the closure of the first floor due to the installation of the summer exhibition. Nonetheless, we enjoyed Picasso paintings, drawings, and ceramics, as well as other artists including Fernand Léger. Number 3. Visiting neighboring cities. In addition to visiting Antibes, we really enjoyed wandering around the area where the annual Cannes Film Festival is held. We were there a couple weeks before the 2024 Film Festival, so the area was busy getting ready for the annual event. We were able to take pictures on the red carpet along with everyone else, and took some time to see some of the handprints of famous actresses and actors such as Angelina Jolie and Jodie Foster, Sylvester Stallone, and Meg Ryan. Just down the street, we wanted to check out the famous 5-star Le Majestic Hotel, where many VIPs have been spotted through the years. Although most VIPs would not have been arriving for at least another week, we were able to get a sense of the glamour surrounding this hotel. Though our time was limited, we made a stop in the beautiful country of Monaco, also the richest country in the world in terms of GDP per capita. We stopped to look inside of the Cathedral of Monaco, where many of the Grimaldi royal members are buried, including the former Princess Grace. And from there, we made our way to the palace, the official residence of the Prince of Monaco. As such, there's an official guard detail evident outside. Though we didn't have time to tour the palace, the views from both sides of the palace were spectacular. We visited a couple weeks before the F1 Monaco Grand Prix, and so you could see the grandstand set up all around the city. We even got to drive along the Grand Prix racecourse. And finally, one can't go to Monaco and not visit the famous Monte Carlo Casino. Just make sure to bring your passport and dress appropriately if you want to go inside. Our most enjoyable neighboring city was the picturesque Villefrance Sur Mer with stunning views of Saint-Jean-Cap-Ferrat, the harbor, and the Old Town. Only a couple stops on the TER regional train from Nice, we arrived at the colorful station and followed the underpass and stairway down to the seawall. The changing weather was gorgeous when we arrived, and so we decided to first enjoy La Plage de Marinière, a fine pebble beach below the train station. It is a wonderful way to soak in the calming shades of blue of this beautiful bay. The calm and clarity of the water was so inviting that Lopaka decided to enjoy a brisk morning swim, which was the highlight of our visit. Ready to explore the town, we followed the promenade towards the old town, taking in the views of Cap Ferrat and the harbor. There are many restaurants and bistros with tables right along the waterfront where you can enjoy the local cuisine with a beautiful view. We walked up and down around the old town and enjoyed lunch at La Tavola. What a wonderful day to spend a day, but we need to get back to Nice to get ready for the last day of our special event.
Number 4. Exploring Nice. More than being a gateway to the Provence region, Nice has many things to offer in its own right, and you could spend several leisurely days enjoying the Côte d'Azur without ever leaving Nice. The old town of Nice is a perfect location to stay during your visit to the Côte d'Azur. It is a wondrous place to sit above the streets, sip a coffee or wine, enjoy looking at the classic architecture, and watching the bustle of the streets below. The Old Town area is bounded by the Mediterranean Sea, Nice Harbor, and the Promenade de Paillon, which is a long, beautiful green park with trees, park benches, fountains, and a play area for children. The Old Town is a cluster of narrow streets lined with places to eat, local bakeries, butcher shops, fishmongers, and produce markets, and plenty of small shops. Meander through the town streets and see Nice Cathedral, the Opera House, and the wondrous buildings along the narrow pathways. Towering above the Old Town streets is Castle Hill, the highest point of the city. The hill was for many years a fortified military citadel that was finally destroyed by Louis XIV in 1706. The hill is now a beautiful park with spectacular views of Nice and Nice Harbor. The entrance to the park is at the end of the Promenade Anglaise and the Quai des États-Unis. You can take the stairs up to the park, stopping along the way to admire the magnificent views of the city and the sea. Optionally, there is an elevator to the top if needed. As you work your way to the top, you will be rewarded with even more spectacular views of the town and of Nice Harbor. Making your way through the park, you'll find ruins to walk through. Buildings with intricate mosaics, and a tiled walkway depicting events from Homer's Odyssey. Make sure to stop by the park's fountain and waterfall before heading back down the stairs. Nice Harbor is a lovely walk from the Old Town. From the entrance steps of Castle Hill, walk past the I Love Nice sign. This year the sign is yellow and black in honor of the Tour de France race which will finish in the town of Nice. From the sign, walk around the point to the Nice Harbor, enjoying the sights. There are shops and small restaurants in the harbor town and a monument to the Nice citizens killed during World War I. The monument, known as Monument to the Dead of Aruba Capel, is built into the old quarry cliffs of Castle Hill. The most iconic part of all Nice is the famous Promenade d'Anglaise. The promenade travels all along the Mediterranean Sea and is always filled with walkers, joggers, cyclists, and entertainers. On the promenade is a small replica of the Statue of Liberty. And here it is where you will find the iconic blue chairs where you can sit to relax, take a lunch break, and take in the views as you look out over the beautiful shoreline. The famous sculpture La Chaise Bleue de Sable immortalizes the rows of blue chairs on the promenade. There are plenty of small restaurants right on the beach that you can access from the promenade. Or bring a takeaway meal to enjoy on the edge of the promenade walkway. Head down to the water to dip your feet into the Mediterranean, but be careful, the large pebbles are not easy to walk on. Number 5. Sampling regional cuisine. France is a magnificent country for great food and drink. In the Côte d'Azur, there is a range of cultural influences, especially from Italy, since it is only a short train ride away, and a significant portion of the Côte d'Azur was once part of the Kingdom of Sardinia. The Côte d'Azur is part of a larger area known as Provence. We were interested in trying out both traditional and non-traditional foods. Our host had left a list of several restaurants frequented by locals. We found others through internet searches or walking through the town. Here are some of our choices and the food we enjoyed. This was our first dinner in the old town of Nice. The Safari is located just a block from the Promenade d'Anglès, amidst the row of restaurants, all offering outdoor covered seating. The restaurant was busy and full of locals, but we were fortunate enough to be seated after a short wait. Wanting to try some foods of Nice, we selected Niçoise items on the menu. We started off with the salad d'artichauts crus et parmesan, a crunchy salad with raw artichoke slices. We never had raw artichoke before, so this was a new taste. Terry selected the daube niçoise raviolis maison, a marinated beef stew in red wine sauce with homemade ravioli, which ended up being our favorite plate of the meal. Lopaka ordered the porchetta niçoise maison, a roasted stuffed pork à la niçoise. No room for dessert after this meal. Our second dinner in the old town was at Bistro d'Antoine. Bistro d'Antoine describes itself as a place for inventive meat and seafood main plates, plus Italian desserts. Though similar dishes are offered daily, the food preparation changes, so menus are written and displayed on chalkboards. At Bistro d'Antoine, we experienced foods with some Italian influence. We started our dinner with an appetizer of artichoke calamari pesto, elegantly plated and full of flavors. Terry ordered the lentils vert saucines peregrine, green lentils with sausage. This generous dish was bursting with flavors and large enough to bring home the leftovers. Lopaka ordered the croquette de cochon à la ancienne polenta crémeuse, pork with creamy polenta and vegetables. The polenta was a different preparation than we had previously tasted, but altogether pork, polenta, and vegetables were a nice meal. After a long busy day, wanting a simple and easy meal, we found the highly rated La Pizza Cressy, which was a short walk from our hotel. The restaurant was busy, but we were seated right away. Making sure we got in our vegetables for the day, we started off sharing a salad with cheese, prosciutto, and roasted red pepper while we waited for the perfectly baked wood oven-fired pizza. Our pizza was topped with pepperoni, which was a topping we miss in Portugal. Crispy crust, tangy sauce, melted cheese, and spicy pepperoni. Delicious. Continuing to look for restaurants that were frequented by locals, we came across Le Bar des Oiseaux, a local restaurant in the midst of Old Town, which describes itself as serving French food with an international twist. Wanting to continue trying French-inspired cuisine, we started off with les asparagus verts with sabayon hollandaise, lard confit, and noisette. Asparagus with hollandaise sauce, pork chips, and hazelnut. The asparagus was crisp tender, and the sauce thick and flavorful. Lopaka ordered the ravioli with cream sauce. The ravioli were good, but the sauce was too thick, somewhat overpowering the flavor of the ravioli. Terry ordered the squid sautéed with garlic and parsley atop shell-shaped pasta. The squid was tender and delicious. Winding up our meal, we enjoyed a dessert of strawberries and cream. After a morning spent at the beach of Villefrance Sur Mer, we walked through the town and were enticed by a sign outside La Tavola offering zucchini blossoms. We had not eaten blossoms for a couple of years and could not pass them up. Seated at a small table right on the pedestrian street, we could watch the crowds passing by and enjoy a view of the Mediterranean Sea. We enjoyed the warm weather and the views as we sipped a glass of rosé and savored the zucchini blossoms. We followed up with a flavorful salad of goat cheese on crostini with yellow tomato, endive, and arugula. Never tired of pizza, and knowing we had a special dinner that evening, we ordered pizza with salami, perfect for this warm spring day.
Wow, what a fantastic visit to the Côte d'Azur. Despite the mixed weather, we were able to explore some amazing areas in the region and sample some fantastic cuisine along the way. There's certainly much more to explore when we visit again, so until next time,
Ate próxima!
and aloha!